Welcome back to Scarface Quotes. Today's topic is the legendary Al Pacino and his most underrated film. Can you figure out which one it is? Before we get into it, let's talk about Al Pacino and some of his underrated films. As we all know, Alfredo James Pacino, better known as Al Pacino, is an American actor. He is regarded as one of the 20th century's most significant actors, having garnered countless honors, including an Academy Award, 2 Tony Awards, and 2 Primetime Emmy Awards, making him one of the few artists who have attained the triple crown of acting. He has a plethora of well-known and acclaimed films to his credit. Along with it, he has several underappreciated films as well. These films are unquestionably excellent, although they were not well received at the time. Donnie Brasco, Scarecrow, Insomnia, Carlitos Way, The Insider, and more films fall within this category. So today we'll be discussing Carlitos Way, which we believe is Al Pacino's most underappreciated film. For reference, Carlitos Way is a 1993 American romantic crime drama film directed by Brian De Palma, based on Judge Edwin Torres's novels Carlitos Way, 1975, and After Hours, 1979. David Koepp wrote the screenplay for the cinematic adaptation. This is Pacino and De Palma's second film collaboration, following Scarface in 1983. Carlitos Way earned great reviews from critics, but a mediocre box office reaction. But it has now become a cult classic. Penn and Miller were both nominated for Golden Globes for their performances. We're going to talk about the plot in detail first. After that, we're going to analyze it briefly. So let's get back to the movie now. Carlito Bergante is released on a legal technicality used by his close friend and lawyer, David Kleinfeld, in 1975 New York, after serving 5 years of a 30-year jail term. Carlito swears to stop his illegal activities, but is convinced to join his teenage cousin, Guajiro, in a drug sale at a pub. Carlito is forced to shoot his way out, as Guajiro's suppliers betray and kill him. Carlito later uses Guajiro's $30,000 from the failed transaction to invest in a nightclub run by a gambling addict named Sasso, planning to save $75,000 to retire to the Caribbean. Carlito, as co-owner of a nightclub, turns down multiple business opportunities with a fiery young mobster from the Bronx named Benny Blanco. Carlito also rekindles his affair with GAIL, a ballet dancer who moonlights as a stripper. Kleinfeld falls in love with Benny's girlfriend, STEFFIE, a club waitress. Benny's aggravation with Carlito's continuous rejections reaches a boiling point, and he confronts Carlito at his table one night. Carlito openly humiliates Benny, who responds by physically abusing STEFFIE. Kleinfeld boldly takes out a gun and threatens to shoot Benny, fueled by his now extensive use of booze and cocaine. But Carlito intervenes. Despite being personally threatened by Benny, Carlito lets him escape uninjured, angering Carlito's bodyguard, Pachanga. Kleinfeld is blackmailed by donating his boat to help mafia leader Anthony Tagliucci escape from the Rikers Island prison hulk after stealing $1 million in payback money from his client. Kleinfeld asks Carlito for help with the jailbreak, and Carlito grudgingly agrees. Carlito, Kleinfeld, and Tagliucci's son Frankie sail that night to a floating buoy outside the barge where Tagliucci waits. Kleinfeld kills Tagliucci and Frankie and dumps their remains in the East River, stating that they would have murdered him anyway. He then admits smugly to taking Tagliucci's money. Carlito instantly cuts relations with Kleinfeld and resolves to leave town with GAIL, knowing that mafia reprisal is inevitable. Kleinfeld just escapes a retaliatory assassination attempt the next day at his office. Carlito is apprehended by police and taken to the office of District Attorney Norwalk, where he is shown a recording of Kleinfeld volunteering to testify against Carlito on bogus criminal claims. Norwalk informs Carlito that he is aware of Carlito's involvement in the Tagliucci killings, in an attempt to coerce him into exposing Kleinfeld, but Carlito refuses. Carlito sees Kleinfeld in the hospital, who admits to selling him out. Carlito surreptitiously unloads Kleinfeld's handgun and exits after noticing a suspicious man in a police uniform waiting in the foyer. Vinnie, Tagliucci's other son, seeks vengeance for his brother and father. Vinnie enters Kleinfeld's room and shoots him dead after dispatching the cop who was already protecting him. Carlito purchases rail tickets for himself and GAIL, who is now pregnant. Carlito is confronted by a bunch of East Harlem Italian criminals, led by Vinnie, as he comes by his club to retrieve the stored money. The Italians want to assassinate Carlito, but he escapes through a hidden passage. The Italians follow him through the city's subway system and into Grand Central Terminal, where they battle. Carlito kills all of his pursuers except Vinnie, who is shot and killed by the police. Vinnie ambushes Carlito and fatally kills him numerous times with a silenced rifle as he flees to reach the train, where GAIL and Pachanga are waiting. Pachanga tells Carlito that he now works for Benny, but Benny kills him as well. Carlito offers the money to a sobbing GAIL and advises her to flee with their pregnant child and start a new life. Carlito is loaded onto a trolley and transported away to the hospital. Carlito watches a billboard depicting a Caribbean beach and a woman as he dies. In his thoughts, the billboard comes to life and the lady, now GAIL, begins to dance. And that's how the movie ends. A true masterpiece, isn't it? So, this movie was completed on July 20th, 1993, and premiered on November 3rd, 1993. The critical reaction to the film's theatrical premiere was mixed. The film was chastised for retreading old territory, particularly that of De Palma's own Scarface and The Untouchables. In his review, Roger Ebert remarked that the picture is one of De Palma's greatest, containing some of his best set pieces. Patrick Doyle's audio score for the film was characterized as elegiac and hauntingly beautiful, and it displays Doyle as one of the key talents of current film music. The film was criticized by Rolling Stone's Peter Travers for Pacino's Rican accent slipping into his southern drawl from Scent of a Woman, De Palma's erratic pacing and derivative shootouts, and what might have been if Carlitos Way had forged new ground and not gone down smoking in the shadow of Scarface. Ebert awarded the picture a thumbs up on the Siskel and Ebert program, while Siskel gave it a thumbs down. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film has an approval rating of 82% based on 49 reviews, with a weighted average of 7.10 out of 10. Carlitos Way reunites De Palma and Pacino for a more mournful take on the crime epic, creating a gorgeous thriller with a throbbing heart underneath its pyrotechnic performances and set pieces, according to the site's consensus. Bregman was startled by some of the unfavorable reviews, but noted that after more discussion of the film, several of the same critics retracted their opinions. De Palma warned the team not to get their expectations up about the film's response a few weeks before its release. He correctly predicted that Pacino, who had just won an Oscar, would be criticized. Koepp, who had just done Jurassic Park, would suck. Penn would be brilliant because he had not done anything in a long time. And he, who had not been forgiven for the Bonfire of the Vanities, would not be fully embraced. Now, if we analyze, we all know that Brian De Palma is a muscular filmmaker who enjoys over-the-top behavior in his greatest pictures. And here, he created a gallery of colorful gangsters and lowlifes. The hoods in the picture appear to have been lifted from the production of Guys and Dolls. The nightclubs appear to have been recycled from Saturday Night Fever. And Al Pacino himself appears to have been influenced by his Oscar-winning performance in Scent of a Woman. The film is intriguing by the processes that drive a man back into criminal life despite his most extraordinary efforts to avoid it. Carlito is just interested in keeping his nose clean, making money, and getting out of town. However, his morals, friends, and circles are criminal, and the screenplay forces him into an unavoidable corner. He is betrayed by his determination to stick by his pals. Two of the film's set pieces are among De Palma's greatest. One includes the lawyer's ridiculous attempt to rescue a hood from the Rikers Island prison barge. The other is a cat-and-mouse pursuit that culminates in a shooting in Grand Central Station. There have been many shootouts in railroad stations in films, most of which are commonplace. But De Palma finds countless variants as Carlito tries to avoid his pursuers. And the sights are as arresting as the ambush in Chicago's Union Station in De Palma's The Untouchables. Carlitos Way, like Scarface, is a character study depicting a guy who aspires to be greater than he is. The hero's objectives in Scarface only lead to power, lust, and greed. Something more sophisticated is going on here. Carlito has matured enough to view himself from the outside, realize some of the mistakes he's committed, and devise a route out of what appears to be an unavoidable fate of individuals in his situation. Nonetheless, his fate is cemented scene by scene. But in this film, we feel Carlito's main mistake was attempting to leave the criminal lifestyle without entirely separating himself from the criminal atmosphere and lifestyle. So to say, he only had one foot in a career that required complete dedication, such as a destructive lifestyle. Carlito had a prime chance to murder a young future Benny Blanco, but he was reluctant to do so because he believed he had changed. But that error ended his life. So we may learn from this that if you want to transform your lifestyle, you must adhere to it by withdrawing yourself from any surroundings or individuals that may lead you to revert to your previous habits. That's all we have for you in today's video. What do you think about it? Why didn't it receive the love it deserved? Comment down below to let us know, and make sure to subscribe to the channel. Thank you all for watching.